recommends you take the following measures. Know that most people who become infected experience mild illness and recover, but it can be more severe for others. Take care of your health and protect others by doing the following.
Regularly and thoroughly clean your hands with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer or wash them with soap and water. Washing your hands with soap and water or using alcohol-based hand sanitizer kills viruses that may be on your hands.
Maintain at least 1 meter, which is 3 feet distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing.
Hands touch many surfaces and can pick up viruses. Once contaminated, hands can transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. From there, the virus can enter your body and can make you sick.
Make sure you and the people around you follow good respiratory hygiene. This means covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Then dispose of the tissue immediately.
Stay home if you feel unwell. If you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention and call in advance. Calling in advance will allow your healthcare provider to quickly direct you to the right health facility. If you develop fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical advice promptly, as this may be due to a respiratory infection or other serious condition.
Be informed.
Be prepared.
Be smart.
Be safe.
Be ready to fight COVID-19.
This message is brought to you courtesy Independent Television and Radio.
This is ITV. Certainly the best. Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. I'd like to say welcome to yet another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Marshall. Today is all about Trump's coronavirus status and the impact in the U.S. election. Tongues are wagging, but the man Trump left the hospital today, and the first thing he did was to remove the face mask, telling Americans that I'm okay. Will this change anything? So about millions right now of infected cases, and of course the number of deaths in America, it has gone beyond 100,000, and people are like talking about this. What do you think will play out in this election? The man that stood so strong talked about COVID-19, saying it may or it may not be. All of a sudden said yes, it's true, and for the second wave he contracted the virus. Is it going to dampen his fan base? Is it going to dampen the zeal of the U.S. electorate poised to vote for Donald Trump? With me here in the studio is a legal practitioner, political analyst. Join me to welcome Barrister A.B. Thomas. It's been a while, a long time. Where have you been?
Resting.
Yeah, resting.
I'm keeping safe distance.
All right. And there's anybody close to Barrister A.B. Thomas. He's a vibrant youth. Join me to welcome Williams Owaifo. Williams, welcome to International Forum.
Thank you, Wilson. Good afternoon, viewers.
All right, now let's get straight to the kernel of the discussion. Donald Trump left hospital despite the fact that, from calculation, it's not up to 2 weeks, so to speak, for the man to recover. But he's telling his base not to worry, I'm just okay. Do you think it's going to have any impact in the election? Straight to the point.
Yes, I can tell you straight away that Trump is trying to play the role of a cowboy. Here, telling Americans not to be afraid of the effect of coronavirus. Meanwhile, he wants to contest as a president, and the elections have now, the campaigns have now gone to the swing states, the core states that you need to win before you can win the election. Right now, he's trailing behind in the polls. And at the same time, he has endangered the lives of so many people. For instance, 2 Wednesdays behind, there was a presidential debate, and he was mocking his co-contestant former Vice President Joe Biden. That look at Joe Biden, you are about 20 meters away from me, and you are still putting on mask. He has downplayed the devastating effect of coronavirus on the Americans and the American economy. And he thinks the electorate can be fooled to just continue to back him. He can only win this election on the condition that the blacks, the Hispanics, the Muslims fail to come out and vote. Because he was asked during that presidential debate, what is your reaction to this your core base of white supremacy? He refused to answer the question. He refused to answer it. And that is the base he is relying on. And that is the base he was doing his showmanship to last night, to show that, oh, I am back. And he removed
the face mask.
It is not as if he's well. He's not yet well. But against medical advice, he forced the doctors to allow him to go back to White House. And even in White House, to show that he's not yet well, he has been restrained to the East Wing, not to the main building of the White House. Because the White House itself is now going under sanitization.
All right.
So he can't even go out and campaign.
Okay. I will come back to you. Now, Donald Trump, according to so many Americans, is like, a symbol of hope when you talk about the fight against coronavirus, downplaying the impact or the effect of this virus. When he came back, the first thing he did was to remove his face mask, saying, Americans, I am just okay. Campaign continue. Now, from what Barrister Ibethamos talked about, he said it's endangering the lives of people, of the electorate. Do you think that this may inevitably sway the electorate to go for Joe Biden or other candidates?
Well, it's been Joe Biden's race to win from the get-go.
Many people have different opinion on that.
Well, but the poll suggests otherwise. And from what the Honorable Barrister was saying, you could see from even conservative outlets polls like Fox News, they've all come out to say, look, he's trailing behind in some of the polls by double digits. So it's been Joe Biden's race to lose, and he has been trying to steer the conversation away from the referendum on coronavirus, how he has handled the coronavirus. Nobody's blaming him for the advent of coronavirus, but people are blaming him for his response. He has been too irresponsible. He has been too reckless. I don't know, people who support him, I actually don't know what they see.
Reckless in what term?
He has been too reckless with his own CDC guidelines. I've never seen a man who is at the helm of affairs who would tweet law and order all day and then go out to break the law. I mean, what was the drive-by a day after he was hospitalized for? What was it for? You wanted to go and show your supporters that, yes, you are hale and hearty. They don't need that. You put the lives of those Secret Service agents at risk. Why did you have to do that? All you needed to do was stay in the hospital and get some rest while the doctors do their job. I mean, there's even been contradicting reports. The doctor says one thing, the chief of staff, Mark Meadows, comes out to say that the president's health has been concerning. I even learned that he has been mad at the chief of staff for telling Americans the truth. This is the first time I'm seeing an American president who has zero respect for truth, for honesty. Everything is about photo ops. Nothing is about substance. You know, sometimes when I look at the country, it feels like I'm looking at a third world country. Because these are not the things you expect from the president of the United States. The least you expect is outright honesty. He started by downplaying this virus, and he told a reporter that, look, he's going to keep downplaying this virus. He said it in that interview that he knows that disease is 5 times as deadly as the flu. And then a week after, he went out on stage and he was telling Americans that, look, this is just another disease like the flu. So he has been deceiving. When you say he's a symbol of hope, I don't know what you mean by that.
For
He's a
so many
symbol of
Americans.
hopeless. No, he's a symbol of hopelessness.
That is your opinion.
When it comes to the coronavirus, because he has since surrendered to the virus and look, let's just go out there and face the virus.
Right.
The number of persons that should die should die.
Okay, fine. Williams, I will come back to you. Right now, he's been relegated to the East Wing, so to speak, of the White House. And from what has been gathered right now, he may not be able to go out there to campaign effectively the way he should campaign. His zeal, his zest to really campaign, to go to these swing states, so to speak, with what is going on, apart from what is happening in the poll. Do you see what happened in the previous election when he was pitched against Mrs. Clinton, to repeat itself in this manner, knowing fully that the Electoral College, they're like the one in charge and talk about the American presidency?
That is exactly why he came back from the hospital. He wants to make his presence felt in those areas, those swing states that determines the Electoral College. But unfortunately for him, he cannot go to those states. And Trump is somebody who believes that without him, nobody else can do anything. Now, he will not allow his vice president to go and campaign. He will not allow any other person to go and campaign. And if you are in the hospital and the lives in fact, before I came here this morning, I've just discovered that in 34 states of America, they have had an upswing of 44,000 new coronavirus cases.
Yeah.
Even in New York, the mayor of New York this morning is contemplating shutting down New York. So who are you going to campaign to? He cannot even leave the East Wing to go to the Oval Hall. He cannot go there. If you are in the ITV here and you are restricted to a particular place, how do you do it? So consequently, it will affect the outcome of the elections, because those supporters who came to line up yesterday at the hospital and clapping for him, they are not part of the Electoral College. So if you can't go there and you can't persuade them, it's a matter of persuading. And since he believes only in himself and not even Vice President Mike Pence, then he himself cannot go. And that will also affect or give more space to Joe Biden to show that this president has been reckless with the handling of coronavirus. A man who goes out to talk to journalists, to his security agents, to even those he's campaigning to. You are campaigning to people, those people you are campaigning to, they are wearing masks, and you're not wearing masks. So a lot of people are going to be reasonable and say, look, enough of this cowboy show. Let's have a gentleman president of America.
All right. Now, is this campaign all about coronavirus? Come on, American agenda. Is it all about the way Donald Trump handled the virus, or what is happening right now in America, talking about booming economy, people getting back their jobs until they have the coronavirus?
Well, you can't have a booming economy if people are sick. So you have to handle the coronavirus before you can get to a healthy economy. So that's what he has been trying to do. Just jump the coronavirus hurdle and then run to the economy, which he thinks is his stronghold. But time and time again, all the polls have showed that this election is going to be a referendum on how he has handled the virus. And he has constantly tried to steer the conversation away from the coronavirus, declaring that they are rounding the turn, that the coronavirus is becoming a thing of the past. But just like the barrister said, 44,000 new cases a day. America has since become the epicenter of that virus. We knew there was a time Italians were dying in their droves. But soon after, they got a grip of it, because their leader was listening to the health experts. So when I say that this man has been very reckless, I know what I mean. He hosted on September 26th, that was last 2 weeks Saturday, he hosted a meeting where they were talking about the Supreme Court of the United States, Amy Coney Barrett, that he's nominating to the Supreme Court. Republicans came in their numbers. There was no social distancing. Most of them did not wear face masks. They were shaking themselves. And more than a dozen of those people that were in attendance that day have tested positive for the coronavirus, further bringing the coronavirus to the front burner of this election. So there's no relegating coronavirus with less than a month to the election.
And a lot of his own advisors in the past 4 days have all tested positive.
Yes.
Wow.
So when you talk about recklessness, it's not an attempt to abuse him. We are only trying to say the way he has handled the issue of coronavirus is, look, even let us talk of this publicity, for God's sake. I keep on asking God as we go to Nigeria. Let us talk of publicity. Where I went to vote last week, we were told to keep some distance. Then what is this white man in a black man's behavior doing? He is white, but he's behaving more like a black man. He does not, in his cases, the end justifies the means. So whether people are dying or not, it's not his business. The idea is that I must win, I must come back. And if you're even talking of coronavirus, you even look at the way he's even talking about the election itself. That if he loses, he's not likely to accept the results. Is he a black man?
All right, I'll put a question to you, Williams. Is he a black man, dull white skin? Because right, people like saying that, look, apart from COVID-19, America have other pressing issues. Don't forget also what led to the riot, to the unrest in America. People like pointing now to some of those unrest protests, to the reason why there seems to be an increase in case of coronavirus. It's not only about Trump's campaign team and the way he's going about the campaign. Are you going to heap the blame only on the president?
Williams? No, definitely. We are not going to say that the protest may not have, contributed a lot. And then where we now revert back to him again. How did you handle the protest when people were coming out in their numbers, expecting leadership, expecting you to calm their nerves with a soothing message from the White House? Look, this police brutality issue, we are looking into it. We are going to come up with police reforms. What did you say when the looting starts, the shooting starts? And then the entire country erupted again, and people started protesting. And this time, it's for a serious issue. In as much as my Republican friends want to make it look like, oh, protest, why did you have to go out even when there was a lockdown? His own supporters in Michigan said they needed a haircut. They wore masks. I'm not talking about nose masks now, like armed rubber masks. They went to the governor's lodge, because she's a Democrat, and told her that she must release them from the lockdown. So you can't compare somebody who says he needs a haircut to someone who's protesting the brutal killing of a colored man. Because this thing has been happening over and over again. And when you ask the president, what do you think about this? The first thing he would do is to jump to the defense of the police. That, look, he doesn't know why people don't appreciate the good work the police do. There are only a few bad apples. And these bad apples keep resurfacing. Race relation is a serious matter in this election. And he has also done poorly in that regard. So in all of the issues, okay, the economy that you keep touting as your strong point, without these issues that are cropping up being properly resolved, you cannot move over to a healthy economy. Right. The Prime Minister of New Zealand, Ardern, a woman, she kept Auckland under lockdown for another 2 weeks because there were 4 new cases. Four. But this man registers 44,000 cases a day, and he says he's rounding the corner on coronavirus. So when the minister says he acts like a 5th ward, I don't even think he's a 3rd ward president. He acts like a 5th ward president, because my president will not even do these things he does.
Okay, you just hold on now. Now, they were asked to come sign the peace treaty. That was before he contracted the virus. Depending on the outcome of the election, he refused to sign. There were even insinuations that the November 16th election, so to speak, should be postponed due to the outbreak of this virus. Now, given what is really going on right now, the second wave of this virus, don't you think that the American election should be postponed?
No, it should not be postponed.
48,000 new cases.
218,000 Americans have died as of last week Monday. Nobody talked about postponing the election. Now a president who has been behaving in a reckless manner has suddenly contracted the same disease. You're not saying we should postpone. Why? The election should go on. you see, it will show all Americans that you need a responsive commander-in-chief. Not somebody will just one day sit down drunk and begin to press the nuclear button, because he is power drunk. No. You must have a responsible, calm leadership. And that is what America deserves at this moment. Look at China. The Chinese man found that, look, it is time for change. They changed. In Japan, the man felt, oh, look, I cannot continue on head grounds. They changed. The Russians are keeping Putin. Why? Because they have no other person to protect the interests of Russia. In England, the British Prime Minister had coronavirus. And what happened? He was hospitalized. He remained in the hospital. This man has been in the hospital for only 3 days. He's running out because of election. Since he's running out of the hospital for 3 days because of election, let him go and face election. I wish I can even go there and vote. Let him say, you see, your head first. You see, you can't be president in heaven. You can't be president in Nigeria or America. So why don't you stay in the hospital, take care of your health, be well, then you can even come back in future to contest if you are still alive. But he's not doing that. He wants to come out or just start immediately. Now they told him, you cannot, even the house you are staying, you cannot go beyond 1 point. He's not even looking for his wife, who is also impacted by coronavirus. He's not looking for the wife. He's looking for how to go and campaign. So why should the election be postponed?
All right.
The earlier it is held for him, the better for him.
All right. Now, let me ask you the same question, because some countries, top countries in the world, choose to postpone various elections in their country due to the outbreak, or let's say advent of coronavirus. I don't think America should follow suit, because the second wave is like too much for them to handle.
No. They shouldn't postpone the election, because that's the reason for, coronavirus wasn't actually the reason for mail-in ballots, but it will come in handy in this very scenario. Because from time immemorial, you can do absentee ballots. You can sign your ballot and then send it through the U.S. Postal Service to the election officials, and then they count your votes. And instead of irresponsible president would have strengthened such a system to protect his citizens. But Donald Trump has constantly attacked the mail-in ballot system as fraught with electioneering defaults. Why? Because he knows that the Democrats are much more concerned about their health. Because most of Donald Trump's supporters, a large chunk of his base, are uneducated people. So that's why they can follow him hook, line, and sinker. They don't believe any other person. They believe only him. So most of the Democrats
have some educated people following Donald Trump.
A few, but go and read about him. A large chunk of his base are uneducated people. They don't have respect. They don't have regard for facts. They don't have regard for science. If you tell them about global warming, they will tell you that's how God wants it. If you tell them about coronavirus, they will tell you a miracle will solve coronavirus. But you and I know we're in a third world country. We've been hoping for a miracle for Nigeria to change. Not until we get up and face the issues of this country, it will not change. So it is this third world mentality, fifth world mentality that Trump uses for America that has put America in this spot. They needed national leadership, but he will not lead them. He said a miracle will happen and coronavirus would vanish. He knew of the severity. He had a call with President Xi of China, who told him that this virus is airborne. Instead of being upfront with his people with the facts, he kept on dissuading them from staying indoors. In fact, he would tweet, "Liberate Michigan." And after he tweets "Liberate Michigan," people will come out and start protesting. This one will say he needs a haircut. This one will say he needs to go and see his friend. Flimsy excuses. So the mail-in ballots should have been strengthened. He put a U.S. Postmaster General, few months to the election, who started removing sorting machines that are capable of sorting millions of ballots that could have helped to facilitate the mail-in ballot system. This man was dismantling them until the U.S. Congress had to call him. "Oga, what are you doing?
All right.
We are in a pandemic. You are supposed to be strengthening the U.S. Postal Service so that people can vote by their mail-in ballots. You are now removing sorting machines.
All right. Now, do you think that mail-in ballot will be of great impact in the American election? But Trump is strictly against it.
Look,
let them come out to vote.
Look, the man is an African in a white man's color. An African man will want to block any way that will not be advantageous to him. We are talking of social distancing. If the mail-in ballot system will enable you, Marshall, to vote from your house, why not allow it? If you feel that there will be, if you feel the system is fraught with irregularities, I mean, cover the loopholes, straighten it. In Africa, we don't straighten institutions, we straighten the person. And this man wants to straighten himself and not the institution, which is contrary to the basic make America great phenomenon he has been preaching about. And if Americans cannot, in fact in England, I have watched 2 of the elections in the UK. You don't even know they are doing elections. Nobody declares public holiday. It's mainly system. You go there any time of the day you are ready, you just simply cast your ballot and you go. So why not straighten that system? Rather than looking for how can a responsible commander-in-chief be saying, if I lose the election, I will agree. Have you heard anything say that?
But he has the right to say whatever he wants to say, freedom of speech.
Look, my brother, this is what he did with Mrs. Clinton. And at the end of the day, you found many of the White House staff, many of the CIA agents, FBI, they were all in trouble. They were all being called to the legislature, to the Congress, to answer questions. You see, don't put yourself first. It is the man who is alive who contests elections. And before I came here today, I heard that the best doctors in the world are being assembled because of him in the East Wing of White House. To look at him 24 hours, they must know that work. So why should they postpone election? He wants election. He must do the election.
The best doctors have been assembled. Doctors that should have been taking care of ailing Americans are now taking care because he's too reckless to even take care of his own self. It's a shame.
Anyway, we would have gone further than this, but it is an average version. It is an average version. It will take 1 minute each to summarize your point. Not to worry. As time progresses, we'll come back to our normal time on this program. So 1 minute, Barrister A.B. Famous, what advice do you have for Donald J. Trump and, of course, American? Just 1 minute.
My advice to Trump, take care of your head first. Do not behave like African leaders. To the Americans, insist on going on the statutory date for voting. Go and vote. No shift.
Thank you so much, Williams. 1 minute, please.
Yes, President Donald J. Trump, you are the president of the critically acclaimed, most democratic nation in the world. You've been a disgrace to that country.
Hold on. Many people
you need to take things easy. Right. Respect your own CDC guidelines.
Thank you.
And I believe America will be better for it.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. To many Americans, it's not a disgrace. He is their number one man. Let's see what will happen. 3 days, this man jumped out of hospital. Elections, powerful. See you next week. Bye for now.
This is ITV. Certainly the best.
We call Earth our home in the universe. But we are not alone here. We share our home with millions of species of plants and animals, ranging from gigantic blue whales to microscopic bacteria.